Today, I'm changing the blade in my compound miter saw. If you haven't changed one of these before, it can be a little bit tricky. And if you have changed one of these before, it can still be a little bit tricky, as you'll see in this video. To get started, you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver. You'll have to take the guard off. To do that, locate these two Phillips head screws right here and right here. Once you get the guard loose, you can move this thing around and you'll see there's a third screw behind the guard. The other two just need to be loosened. The only one you really have to take off is the one behind the guard that's connected to the plate. There's a hook on the bottom of the plate connected to this bottom screw. Once you get this thing loose, you can move the hook around, and that will allow you to move the guard down so that you can get to this one screw here behind the plate. This is the only one you need to take out. Now you can take the guard off, just swing it back here behind the table saw to keep it out of the way. Most table saws usually have a clamp on the back where they can keep the wrench to take the saw blade off. If you don't have one, you'll have to get a wrench to take this blade off. The trick here is the blade will just spin when you try and take it off, so you have to push this button on the other side of the table saw. This will lock the blade in place so that you can unscrew it. The other important trick to remember here is you want to crank this thing clockwise to loosen it. Don't get fooled by that old saying, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, because that doesn't always apply. After you get the nut off, there's a big washer in here that acts like a clamp to keep the saw blade in place. You want to go ahead and pull that out. Now you can take the saw blade out. If you're not sure what size saw blades you need, you can look it up in your owner's manual, or you can measure your old saw blade. My saw requires a 10-inch blade. The next number on here is 60T. That's how many teeth are on the saw blade. If you're not sure how many you need, a good rule of thumb is the more teeth you have on the blade, the finer the cuts will be. Now let's put this thing back together. First, put the washer back on. Remember, this is used to clamp the blade in place. Now you can put the nut back on. I recommend hand tightening this thing to get it started before you get the wrench out. That way you don't take any chances of stripping anything. Now that you're ready to get the wrench out, remember to hit this button on the other side to hold the blade in place while you tighten it. Now you want to tighten it counterclockwise to tighten it. Another tip to remember is to always have the teeth of your saw blade pointing towards what you're going to be cutting. So in this case, they're pointing down. That's the way the chop saw works. You pull it down and cut the wood. I like to tighten everything up and then go back and tighten it again just to make sure. Now it's time to put the guard back on. Just grab it and swing it up here. Remember, there's a hook on the bottom of this black plate. You want to hook that around this bottom screw. Once you get it in place, you want to go ahead and tighten it with a screwdriver. These three screws on the safety cover are all going to be tightened clockwise. So in this case, that old saying, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey applies. I like to tighten everything up and then go back and tighten it again just to make sure. Always remember to put the wrench back on the clamp so you don't lose it. That was a little bit of a pain, but man, this thing looks nice. It looks brand new with that new saw blade on there. In my next video, I'll be getting back to my pallet wood desk project, and I'll be using this compound miter saw with the new blade on it to square up all the ends to the pallet wood for my desk. If you haven't had a chance to check out the other videos in my pallet wood desk series, I'll have my pallet wood projects playlist right here where you can check them all out.